All right, this is John Colo with GrowingYourGreens.com. Through another exciting episode for you. And where I am today is in my backyard garden. And I've had an amazing summer and fall growing season. Now we're moving into winter, and because we're moving into winter, the temperatures start to decline. Up until now, we haven't really had a true frost. We've gotten some cold days, and especially with the wind chill factor, it's brought the temperatures down. But nonetheless, some of my cold sensitive plants have made it. You know, a lot of them have not. So basically I pull them out as they're no longer productive for me. I think I pulled out first started pulling out all the peppers, the okra, and then started pulling out the tomatoes. Today I cut back all the basil that was in this bed. Yeah, I've basically been going through and cutting out all the, you know, summer stuff that's not gonna like the freeze, and anyways, when it gets too cold, they don't really produce well anyways. And we're gonna save some plants. So some plants in my garden, such as the moringa and also the Okinawan spinach and longevity spinach, I've been actually digging up out of the garden beds and then potting them up and then bring them into the greenhouse to overwinter them. The greenhouse, they're on a concrete slab with a roof over the top. So even though we get down into the high 20s here, you know, they don't freeze, and they like to they'll grow through the whole winter inside the greenhouse. Now, outside the greenhouse is another story. There are some plants, such as these perennial plants, that would love a climate like South Florida and pretty much live there year round, provided there wasn't a frost. Here, even though we've gotten into like, you know, like low 30s, I don't know if we've hit 32 yet, maybe 33, 34. These guys are still hanging on really good. The other thing is this is close to the house here, and so it stays a little bit warmer. Let's see, every year I always try to push the envelope and see what kind of perennials I could leave in the ground and could get them to either continue to grow through the winter or come back the next year, and I use a variety of techniques. I have a video last year showing some techniques, and that's what this episode is. I'm going to show you guys an easy way to cover any 4-foot by 4-foot square raised bed, or in my case I have a 4-foot circular raised bed with a very inexpensive greenhouse that's just going to cost you under 20 bucks. So you guys can keep your plants a little bit warmer. In the past, I actually have put on like the big large Christmas tree lights that have come on at night and then go off in the daytime, and they kind of kept some plants alive last year without any kind of protection. That being said, like pretty much by the end of the winter I lost the plants, but the roots stayed alive under the ground, and then they basically came up next year. So this year I want to try to keep the leaves on these plants and keep them growing all winter long. I know I'm able to do it in a greenhouse or on a concrete pad in another area of my yard, but I thought I'd build a greenhouse for this one. And I could build some custom setup and, you know, all these things. And last year I researched for like at least one solid night after I got done with dinner. I just got online, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna find a greenhouse, you know, some kind of pop-up easy thing that I could just put over a raised bed that's gonna fit perfectly. I found one from the Flower House Greenhouse Company or whatever. And I got it, and it actually didn't fit in my space, so I actually had to return them. So that was like a bust. But this year I found something. It's in this small box right here. This is from the Greenland Gardener, and they're in Arkansas, and I see them every year at the garden show. And so I asked him about this, if they had anything like this, and he says yes they do. So I got one to try out. And this is the least expensive little miniature greenhouse you guys will find. And it's all contained in this bag here. The amazing thing is it's just simply 20 bucks, and basically it just pops up. Now, you know, of course, this is not one of those little greenhouses that you're gonna keep for years and years and years. I would not leave this out in the sun. This is the inexpensive plastic kind of stuff that's gonna degrade in the UV. This is one of the shadier areas of my yard, so provided I keep it on all winter, take it off, put it out of the elements. You know, I might get it 2 years, maybe 3 years out of it. We'll see how long it lasts. And here's the thing, like these plants are sensitive. You know, if it gets below freezing, below 32, they're not gonna make it, right? They don't have any plant antifreeze like kale, like collard greens, even like lettuces, right? Every plant has a cold tolerance. And you know, I don't necessarily recommend using one of these if you live in Michigan and trying to grow this. But you know what, if you live in Michigan, have a raised bed, and it doesn't snow like every single day, maybe it snows here and there and then it melts and whatnot, this will definitely get you a couple degrees so you could grow maybe more cold tolerant crops than you normally would, right? So I'm hoping that it just gives me maybe like 5 degrees of difference, and that could make the difference between life or not life for my baby plants over here. So let's go ahead and unfurl this guy and see what we got. Oh, I'm looking for some instructions in here. I don't see any. Anyways, so looks what we got in here. We just got the top, the cover here, the plastic. Kind of smells like plastic. And then we got actually these tent poles. So these are just like the same fiberglass tent poles that you would get if you bought, you know, one of those pop-up tents. And so I think that's what we got to do. We got to assemble the tent poles. Then we're just going to put the greenhouse tent over it. Also included were some stakes to stake it down. Anyways, I think I'm going to get started here and see what we could do. All right, normally you assemble the poles and then maybe you like wiggle the poles up some kind of like channel inside the greenhouse. So let me see if I can find any kind of channel inside here. All right, so it looks like they got some Velcro tabs and the poles go on the inside versus the outside, and they just kind of get arranged in there. So I think the better thing to do is just to assemble this off-site, and then I'll bring back the whole thing and just place it over the top when I'm done. All right, so as you guys can see, I'm back and we got the greenhouse right here all built. Basically, it was pretty easy to assemble. You got to fit the tent poles into these little nylon hook things at the bottom, and make sure you don't use the strap hooks that are at the bottom. I use that first because there's no instructions. And like this seems kind of loose, so then I redid it and it was actually really hard to kind of get into the holes. But I was successful, and we're gonna go ahead and place this on before this blows away. All right, so as you guys can see, I got the little greenhouse on the top there. It fits in perfectly. My 4-foot circular raised bed. This is made for a 4-foot square raised bed, or 48 inches square. Works no problem with mine. That's 8 inches tall. Should work up to 12 inches tall, no problem. You know, pegged to the ground. And then if you have a different setup, it's taller, you're gonna have to just make some kind of fastener so that this thing doesn't blow away, because this thing is like one big sail. Another thing I really like about this little greenhouse here, it has a little zipper here. So you could go ahead and access your plants without having to take it off. So I really like this setup a lot. I mean, once again, 20 bucks, you guys could protect your plants from the frost, or like probably many of you guys that it's, you know, gets too cold out there to still grow some of the frost, you know, tender crops. You guys could grow some of the cold crops, right? The cauliflower, broccoli, kale. You know, if this will keep the snow off it, won't blow away, gives you a couple degrees, right? That'll allow those cold, hardy crops to grow. And so literally for 20 bucks, you could be growing your food outside in the winter. Now, you know, for further protection, you could like do a double, so you could have this over top and then you could have some protection over each plant on the inside. Of course, it's best if you want to protect your plants is to make sure they're nice and established before you go into winter, because if you're just trying to start seeds with this over the top, it's going to be a little more difficult. But if you already have good established plants, they're going to continue to grow. The other thing, and I want to remind you guys, in the winter when things are cold, there's not as much sun, things don't grow as quickly. So luckily, most of my garden is already planted out for the winter. I'm going to go ahead and start planting maybe a few more things in here and see how this does compared to the garden, the part of my garden that is actually non-protected. Just in a couple days, I think we're going to get down into the mid to high 20s. So I hope this was able to protect my longevity spinach, which is hardy down to, you know, probably like 33, 34, I'm guessing. And then furthermore, probably maybe in a couple days, I'm gonna go ahead and put some Christmas tree lights in here to keep it even warmer at night. The other thing you guys wanna remember is, you know, don't just put this on top and then forget about your plants on the inside. What I find when this is all zipped up, you got a nice cover in there, and that's for the plants anyway, it's like us trying to breathe if somebody puts a plastic bag over our head. Now, I don't recommend trying to breathe with a plastic bag over your head. There's actually warnings on most plastic bags that could cause suffocation. Same with your plants. Your plants are not going to suffocate, but the thing is, when you have a top over it, you know, there's going to get condensation in there. It's going to get really humid and moist for the plants, which could be a good thing, or in many cases a bad thing, because now you are providing a nice environment for things like powdery mildew and other potential diseases. So for that reason, you know, in the daytime, if it's not freezing out, of course, I do encourage you guys just to come over and unzip a little bit, just so that your plants could breathe and get some fresh air. And before the evening comes and it starts getting cold again, then you're going to want to go ahead and zip it up to get the most protection for your plants. So I'm glad that Greenland Gardener makes this little inexpensive $20 greenhouse that anyone can order and use to protect their raised beds. I don't think this thing is going to hold up like for 10 years or anything, but I'm pretty confident it'll definitely work for this season. And if I take it down before the sun starts really shining and the UV rays start hitting it, and I put it away after every season, I'm probably thinking I'll get maybe 2 to 3 seasons out of it. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good buy for what it is. I hope other companies come out with even better solutions for covering 4 foot by 4 foot raised beds, even 4 foot by 8 foot raised beds, even 4 foot by 16 foot raised beds, like an easy solution that's inexpensive that you guys could just grow, or buy, put up, and you could be growing all winter long. Because that's really what it allows you to do, man. It allows you to extend your season and grow things when you normally wouldn't be able. And I'm all for any way y'all could get to growing your food. And don't forget, right, you guys didn't buy this in time, you can't put a garden in the winter outside right now. Be sure to put in and start growing a microgreens garden or even sprout garden inside your kitchen. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I'll do more episodes on how to protect your plants. Also be sure to check my past episodes, over 1,200 episodes now, teaching you guys all aspects on how you guys can grow your own food at home. I have plenty of other videos showing other ways I have used in the past to protect my plants. And finally, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming episodes I've coming out about every 3 to 4 days. You never know where I'm going to show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. So with that, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. I'm here in my front yard garden, and it is now December time. And finally, I'm just pulling out my peppers and cucumbers. Well, what's left of the cucumbers. I've already started pulling out the tomatoes.